to meet down at this very corner and fill out one of these cards. We need you for record. You guys are dismissed, but I would suggest you might stay here just in case there's questions that come up after public testimony. For those that have not signed up that are willing to, or those that wanting to publicly testify, these cards that are on the front desk, please get one of those filled up and get it to the clerk so we make sure we get record. We'll get you if you don't, but you'll still have to sign up the card. All right, you guys are dismissed, well, actually subject to the call of the chairs. All right, we're going to start public testimony. We'll do 16 to 8 panels, and then we'll get back on invited. Chair calls Mary Ellen Schul. Mary Ellen Schul. Brady Constantine. Auburn Gallagher. Ashley Willis. Timothy Mabry. Melanie Strong. Charles Holt. Albert Flores. Albert Flores, Charles Holt, Melanie Strong, Timothy Mabry, Ashley Willis, Auburn Gallagher, Brady Constantine, and Mary Ellen Schul. All right.
I'll help y'all with the all right.
There was a couple of those that were actually not, they're public, but they were tied to the previous panel. It's going to be a couple of questions that were introduced into the first one here regarding some of the things the panel first said. So we're going to hit those two people only. It was Mr. Constantine and Ashley Willis. So very quickly, I'll ask the question and members can ask. There was a comment made by, I believe it was the EOC, that somebody had an easy feeling about that night. I think it was you. Can you give us a background of, and here's the deal. We all can have easy feelings, right? I mean, we're just kind of human nature, especially in hindsight. You might kind of start thinking, well, I should have. What was the background for that conversation with Tatum is what it was said. Can you give us the background on that conversation? And say your name and your title, who you're with.
Yes, sir. Brady Constantine, Kendall County Emergency Management Coordinator. In context to that, so I'll start with saying I have a lot less years of experience as opposed to many. I'm the second one, I believe, in history for Kendall County to hold this title. Jeffrey Fink held this position for 40 years before me, and he was somebody that I learned and transitioned into his position as he retired in May of 24. So I will say that I'm a lot more on edge for any type of situation that could happen within the county. Sometimes I'm a little too eager or more proactive, but that's me learning more of what my role is now. I grew up in the fire service as a fireman and paramedic the last 20 years.
So to be clear, I just want to kind of land the plane. It wasn't anything Tatum said, or hey, by the way, this is going to be a big one. It was just kind of your experience level, inexperience, and kind of looking at some of the stuff and talking to people. You were believing that maybe this is we may not know what we got.
Yes, sir. We did have we had a weather call with the SOC at 10 o'clock on the morning of July 3rd. We had our planned parade in the Comfort community that runs down High Street that was planned for that next morning of July 4th that brings a lot of people. And I know that it is my job to kind of have some awareness of that. And so that's what that was in context
So
to. Yes,
wasn't
sir.
nothing specific. Okay. Members, any questions for Mr. Constantine? Because I don't want to keep him or the engineer up here. Are you the engineer?
Mr. Moody, just to follow up on the chair's questions, Mr. Constantine, you said you participated in a 10 a.m. weather call with on July 3rd. And that was the beginning of the conversation. Obviously, things evolved from there, but that was kind of the inception of that, of your action.
Yes, sir. I've built a pretty good relationship with my county liaison officer for TDM, Scott Haynes. He knows where my experience level is in the fire service and such, and I still have a lot to learn in emergency management. And so we have a pretty strong relationship. We actually started communicating at 8:30 that morning in regards to potential weather that may or may not actually land in our area or affect Kendall County itself. So that's how my day started on July 3rd, followed by the SOC weather call, not knowing how much or if we were going to get any at all at that point.
Okay, and the SOC weather call, that invitation goes out to you and who else?
I know it goes out to emergency management partners. As far as just for our COG, for ACOG, or I'm sure, by region, I couldn't tell you exactly who all is actually on that list.
And that, do you recall, or do you have the ability to inform us later the participants on that 10 a.m. call?
Representative, that's a global call. There's probably 500 people on there.
No, I know that the invitation's going out. I'm just asking if he participated in it, and if he has, these are some of the folks that he works with, if he has recollection of other folks that participated in the call.
As far as participation, I couldn't tell you who participated.
Okay.
I can look at the email chain, but as he said, there's like 500.
No,
on there.
and we get those in our offices too, and we participate where it. If I'm not going to be participating from El Paso on a call like that, but we had the same notification if we would like to participate in it. I'm just trying to figure out if there was anything that stood out to you in that meeting in terms of participation.
No, sir. Honestly, I couldn't tell you who all was on the call. I generally don't pay attention to that. I just dial in, listen to it, and see if it's going to affect me in my area or not.
In our prior hearing in Austin, when we spoke with NIM Kid and TDM, talked about qualifications for folks that serve in positions as yours. You said you're kind of new in this position, and we've heard from another witness has shared his background, education, experience, and training. Do you have anything on that front to offer to you in terms of what are the best qualifications? What are qualifications that are best served, or that would best serve the communities when talking about positions like yours? Because obviously we have these positions all over the state, and if there are minimum standards that you think would be important for us to know about, I'd like you to be able to testify about that.
So one of the things y'all mentioned earlier is the tabletop exercises, and the information of if you don't use it, you lose it. That is something that we talk about in the fire service when it comes to hazmat, right? Or if you talk about if you don't know how to tie a knot, we tie a lot. Emergency management is built around the fire service and emergency medical service, where we wait for somebody to tell us what to do, where to go, not how to do it. It's not utilized as predominantly in the law enforcement profession, I would say, on a daily basis, at least not at the local level. A background for somebody that, or for this position, I can tell you that is the strongest thing that I have is my background in the fire service, the 20 years I had prior to coming to this seat. I wouldn't have applied or been considered if I didn't have that experience that built the resources and the knowledge for it.
Thank you very much. It was very helpful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I called the engineer up here because you were named in that. Do you have anything you need to add to that conversation that we were just in with Mr. Constantine?
No, I don't have anything to add.
State your name and
Sorry, Mary Ellen Shuley, County Engineer for Kendall County.
you guys are released. That was an easy day. All right. I'm missing two out of this. No? Okay, I'm on. All right. Let's go ahead and start on this side. You've got 3 minutes, but we'll be granting latitude on the public side a little bit for you guys. So just kind of move down and tell us your story. Tell us your name. Tell us your name and what's important to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Auburn Gallagher. I'm a 25-year resident of Sandy Creek. We are a community of 3,000 plus citizens. The majority of the citizens in our area are retired, elderly, and on fixed income. This area is historically underserved by local authorities. I was awoken on July 5th at 6 a.m. by my neighbor, whose house sections and other debris were taking out my fencing and leaving my livestock vulnerable. At this point, I did not realize the damage to my own home. I was focused on my animals and my neighbor's needs. I put my boots and jacket on and began to zip tie my fences together and headed to the church in our community to see the damage that had occurred. On the way to the church, I saw that 2 of my neighbors' homes were gone. I began to ask, how did this happen? Beginning to develop a plan. Our floodwaters came from a very small watershed with headwaters all within a half mile of our subdivision. The creeks could not shed 18 inches of water in 1.5 hours, with the trees clogging the ways. It was it's like pouring 5 gallons of water into a toilet stuffed with sponges and expecting it to flow through. Our creeks are just 3: Bingham, Big Sandy, and an unnamed creek that starts at Rock Cliff. I took my funds and headed to HEB for water and ice and non-perishable foods. Then I returned to the church and moved down to Windy Valley to assess the damage. It looked like a war zone. I began calling resources I knew and asking for help of volunteers and equipment. The work began. The failures, the lack of communication by Travis County Sheriff's Office, the lack of communication from Judge Andy Brown's office, the Travis County Emergency Services Division lack of communication, failure to notify the residents when in fact I have been personally told by Travis County employees that they were warned at midnight that we were going to flood. However, at 4:39 a.m., we received a text message from Travis County that stated the following: evacuate, wildfire. Really? Wildfire? Flood. Travis County and the state needs to complete the 2015 flood infraction upgrades that were paid for and grants were received. They were not implemented. Now we find out that we have been under a 5-year flood mitigation plan, but no one in Sandy Creek has ever been notified. The delay of resources. Please explain to me why New York State cadaver dogs were brought in 5 days into this event, but the cadaver dogs from Texas were never brought in. Please explain to me why we had no SARS or law enforcement units on the ground, but volunteers were on the ground by July 6th, where the state and county, where were your resources? I have been emailing Travis County for 3+ years about Sandy Creek and the things that needed to be addressed. They have never completed any of those requests, which would have fallen under the 2015 flood mitigation plan and the corrections that would have needed to be made. The lack of communication with residents about the location of possible missing, the numbers are still wrong. We have 20 homeless encampments between the 2 sides of our creek. Many of them have not been found. And by the way, did you count for the illegal population in our area? No, you did not. Further concerns are that Travis County employees are now telling us that they are not able to clean out or remove debris from our creek because the Travis County officials told them not to clean it up and not to remove.
Ms. Gallagher, thank you for your testimony. Your time's up, but I do have a question, so we're going to extend it a minute. Has any cleanup in Sandy Creek began?
So I'll answer that question as the following. I began bringing in volunteers on July the 6th. My volunteers, chainsaws, heavy equipment, boots on the ground, supplies, whatever we could get, we cleaned up Windy Valley. Windy Valley is done. They have started to remove, they being, I'm not sure whom they are, started to remove some of the debris from the riverbed, but there are many sections that have not been touched, and no one will listen to the residents, sir.
Understood. Members, are further questions of Ms. Gallagher? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
State your name. You have 3 minutes, and we'll probably have a question or two maybe.
My name is Ashley Willis. I am also a Sandy Creek resident. At least I used to be. I'll live there again. We can all talk about how woefully inadequate the Travis County response was, but instead I've kind of brought some solutions, some ideas that I think we can move forward. I do agree, since 2015, we've had 10 years, there is 0 flood mitigation plans for Sandy Creek. There are 0 gauges. That is unacceptable. Additionally, in addition to the 22 inches of rain that we received, there are also additional circumstances. We need someone to monitor our tributaries. We have land with private dams that are very old. I'm not coming here with pitchforks, but they all broke. In addition to the rain, the level of damage was catastrophic. Whose job is it to monitor that? Whose job is it to fix that? Our emergency management coordinator, there is not a single standardized set of requirements across the state. There needs to be. As a real estate agent, I have hours of coursework I have to take yearly and tests that I have to take just to be a licensed fiduciary. It's not my job to save lives. Things that we need immediately: temporary housing, transportation, and yes, large equipment, because there is still debris. And I understand that rivers are traditionally what's covered by the county or the state, and tributaries are not, but it's the size of a river now. Additionally, aside from just debris, they are marking people found when they find their body parts. And they match DNA. And then they are not coming back to find the rest of these people. I found a hip and a leg on my property. And we did that, volunteers in the community, not Travis County. Lastly, I do think that there's going to need to be some water testing. There's a lot of contaminants. Actually, second to lastly, red tape in a disaster is ridiculous. The fact that the city of Leander could not come in because they don't have a previous interagency agreement with Travis County in a state of emergency, that makes no sense. Why would they be turned away? If you could please take these into consideration. I know you guys only have 30 days to pass legislation. I don't know how much of this can be done, but we have definitely, just want to thank every volunteer that came out the first week, as well as the weeks after. We're going to have the world's biggest cookout. We do still have an unserved area at the southern end of Long Hollow Loop and at the southern end of Gillum Creek that has not been touched. It still looks like a war zone, and if we get another rain, it will tear up all of the low water crossings that are left. The fact that we have spent our own personal money to help efforts because support has not been there is unacceptable. Thank you.
Just real quick, I know you don't have it, we don't have a copy here today. Those recommendations would be extremely helpful. Any written testimony that you can get to the committee the next week. I know you live, I think, in that area, obviously. Maybe homeless right this minute, but you're somewhere in that area. If you can get them to the Capitol, get them to my office or Chairman King's office, either way, we'll make sure the members get them. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Chairman Perry, on that note, for all witnesses, whether you're testifying or just want to submit public comment, if you go to the posting where this hearing is posted on the House website, there's a link to the public comment portal, and it's going to be open for another week. So you have a full week to submit your comments in writing on that posting, and that will be shared. Whether you send it to the Senate side or the House side, we will share all comments and put them together.
Thank you for that, Chairman King. The Senate doesn't have that facility, so go through the House. It gets to the committee. So. Sorry, go ahead. State your name.
My name is Melanie Strong, and I'm a resident of Travis County. I'm a general contractor and realtor by trade, and I'm going to give you a brief timeline of my experience as a neighborhood leader and a community liaison. I've used my background in construction and my leadership skills in the specific area of Sandy Creek at the end of Windy Valley Road to help the residents clear the property of debris, manage volunteers and heavy equipment, and help them sift through the destruction and try to find any personal belongings. As well as I've personally brought in shipping containers, tents, and security to protect against looting. In the evening of the 8th, 3 days after the flood, I was disturbed to see a woman, Auburn Gallagher, a 25-year resident of Sandy Creek, pleading for help on social media. This area of Travis County is only 20 minutes away from where I live, and after doing some digging and making a few calls to the only two people I knew in that area, one of which lives on Nameless Road that leads to Windy Valley, and the other one lives on Windy Valley. Both of them had the same thing to say, and that was that nobody came. They were left in the dark, and they did not have resources to dig themselves out. I woke up my significant other, who is a lieutenant in the Capital Region of Austin for DPS, and I told him that we needed to go and see for ourselves. I asked him if he had gotten any emails or phone calls requesting assistance, as he would have been one of the first ones to receive that request, and his answer was no. He refreshed his email again, and there was nothing requested from Travis County. We drove out to Nameless Road and came to a bridge that was out. We watched several vehicles drive over it, even though it was coned off. Once we backtracked and drove through Treviso, and we came upon a single sheriff's deputy who was posted near the other side of the bridge. He was the only deputy stationed for that entire area. We pulled in and asked him what happened the night of the flood, because we had been told that no one came. He confirmed that he was working on the night of the flood and had over 50 calls directly to him that he was unable to get to, as he was caught between Cow Creek and the low water crossing for the Balcones Nature Preserve. That's a 20-minute drive on a clear night. He was on the other side of the county, and there were no other deputies available for the Sandy Creek area. Sorry, I lost my spot. He was stuck there from approximately 3 a.m. until 10:30 in the morning, when he was able to get out. He was landlocked along with other deputies, some of which had to evacuate from their own vehicles to escape the floodwaters on foot. We finished our conversation and went back home. On Wednesday morning, I went to my friend's house that lives on Windy Valley. His property extends both sides of the road. One portion of his property extends into the creek, and the other adjacent property is where his home is. The water came across both properties and into his home over 2 feet high. He took me to the creek that was previously an overgrown dry creek bed, and where we found his neighbors trying to dig out an elderly neighbor who is unable to get out of her home. And this is 4 days later. I spent the next few hours walking down the creek and witnessing the neighbors and volunteers with chainsaws and bobcats and small excavators digging each other out. I spoke to many of them, and their testimony was all the same. Nobody came. No emergency services came to them. In the hours after the floodwaters receded, their 911 calls went unanswered.
Ms. Stalling, thanks for your testimony. My question is, we've heard from 3 of you now. You're not saying that there was no resources just from the sheriff. Your testimony is that there was no Travis County resources from any first responding discipline.
Nobody.
Before you speak, please restate your name.
My name is Auburn Gallagher. Nobody came. No resources. Nobody came.
No fire, no EMS,
Nobody came.
no sheriff.
Nobody came for us. Nobody.
That's unacceptable. Thank you for your testimony.
While we're there, real quick, in the DPS testimony last week, I met you ladies in a hallway there at the Capitol. The DPS said they had put resources there, couldn't remember exactly when they showed up, but from an actual cleanup or mitigation or help perspective, but this was regarding looting and stuff. So do you know when the DPS were there?
Yes. Yes, they came only after my many requests, because, like I said, I brought in my own shipping containers and tents to protect from the looting, because that area was receiving a lot of donations. And we had an entire pallet of chainsaws that were donated disappear overnight. And basically, I just begged my boyfriend to figure it out. I'm like, you have to get people down here. They need help. And he made the captain that is over that area, made TDEM, whoever was in charge at TDEM over there, very aware that although there were a lot of DPS resources that had been allocated to Kerrville and Williamson County, that to let them know that there were still plenty of troopers ready and willing to come assist. And the request was, or the offer was declined.
All right, thank you. All right, sir, state your name.
Howdy, y'all. My name's Timothy Mabry, and I'm representing all the volunteers who showed up to help. So my story started out on July 4th in Canyon Lake, where I assisted in setting up a donation center for here in Kerrville. We ended up sending, on July 6th, 11 trucks and 7 trailers of supplies to here in the Kerrville area. Then that night of the 6th, I saw Auburn Gallagher's video saying that Leander was hurting, that there was a major need. That next morning, I called up the church there, and I heard the exact same thing from the church. The church told me we were almost out of food, we're almost out of water, and we're out of supplies for children, like diapers and wipes and formula. This is what we're out of. And we happened to have some extra supplies that got dropped off right after our last truck went out to this collection point. So I loaded up a U-Haul, and I drove it and I had my wife driving my truck and a few other volunteers. We drove it up to Leander, and what I saw was horrendous. HEB had just shown up, and there was a Travis County emergency manager on site. And I asked him, what is going on? Do you need assistance? Because I started to see how crazy this was. My background, I spent over 10 years in the fire department. Before that, I was Navy. I have a lot of experience in emergency management. And I asked, hey, do you need assistance? And he said, I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not sure yet. Just be on standby. I asked him, do you have a full ICS, incident command system structure, up and running? And the answer was no, we do not. Those supplies were being turned away because HEB had shown up. And HEB at that point was giving out small little bags of groceries to people. It was just enough of an allotment for an evening. I then went up to Ms. Gallagher's house afterwards, and I got to see the devastation firsthand on Windy Valley, where multiple homes were completely devastated, and the loss of life, it's heart-wrenching. Out of 2 properties, 6 people did not make it, 1 did. And to hear their stories is heart-wrenching, what happened on that street, and then getting turned away. I made a phone call to a friend who does global disaster recovery, and I told him the situation, and I requested a FEMA command trailer to show up to that site. The next morning, that Tuesday morning of the 8th, a FEMA command trailer showed up to the site before an emergency management was fully set up for an incident command system. The fire chief of the Travis County ESD-1 rejected that trailer, and they were going to use this little schoolhouse. But there were still assets that were being needed. People were getting turned away, and the community effort was there. It was not the government. It was not the state doing the cleanup. It was not the government helping. It was citizens. It was Texans helping Texans who are doing the work and are still doing majority of the work. It was after many cries and pleas for help and coordination with myself and many others of why resources in the state finally acknowledged what was going on there. And there is still a major need today. I see my time is up, so I yield.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, how y'all today? My name is Chief Charles Holt. I'm one of the 9 volunteer fire departments in Kirk County that services Kirk County. I'm also part of the Kirk County Swift Water team. In this event, on July the 4th, we were able to evacuate 375 residents to safety. There was 36 10 businesses and 20 RVs that were destroyed. We had 16 waterborne rescues that day. The Center Point Fire Station had at least 7 foot of water that went through it. Even despite that, we were able to clean it up and get that as a community center and another distribution center across the town and the local schools. We ran 29,467 volunteers down the river from July 4th to the July 18th. We had 75 heavy equipment, specialized pieces of equipment. We had 32 rescue teams that was deployed down the river, 7 task force team with technical rescue and recovery and logistics. We had 6 cadaver dog teams that were running down the river. We provided 3,000 meals daily to the volunteers and everybody that was coming in to the area. We also accept at least 80 tons of donations from the community support, and we had 60 medical contacts daily on our site. Through all that, we only had 3 injuries. One was a minor chainsaw scratch, one was a heat illness, and one was just a PTSD thing. What we got from the state was a 100-man TIFMAS team. It was actually a SAR team at the beginning of it, and then we got about 16 DPS deputies that helped us with traffic control in the area. So the biggest thing for us is, we had our personal professional equipment. We handed out to all these teams that helped them, mitigate the risks that they were going through on this river. We had a public plan. We had evacuation protocols that we had put together. On the county side, we had good communication with the county commissioners. They were good liaisons. The sheriff's response, sheriff's office response to there was great. Some of the things that we could work on with that would be, some of these rehearsals of the emergency stuff that would go on through here through the countywide. Other than that, through the state of Texas, the TDM support was good. We had stuff that we needed. The DPS checkpoints and the state representatives that have come down there to visit us and make sure that we're doing good was amazing. I got to see Mr. Liddell here on several occasions, come down there and see how we were doing and see what we needed. The only thing I would ask from the state moving forward would be, instead of a pull down from us trying to get information down, it'd be better to be more of a push, so we can get those good information things that we need to carry out our jobs a little better. So that's all I got for y'all. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Burdell.
Thank you, Chairman King. Chief Holt, I just wanted to commend you and your brother and all the other volunteer fire department members from Centerpoint. Y'all had an overwhelming task. I believe the last survivor was found near your station, and it was impressive to watch how many volunteers showed up. And y'all, that's really an overwhelming task. If you think about, you have a lot of people. Y'all did a great job coordinating and managing those volunteers. And I wish people could have witnessed, if they didn't get to, what your VFD was able to do. And I think it shows the importance of why we have to have those volunteer fire departments there. And your leadership was exceptional. I just want to tell you publicly, thank you for what you did.
Thank you, sir. There's a lot more you can do, just being honest, with a little less red tape. So I think everybody that showed up to help us out, like we've always said, it's, we're from Texas. We'll help our neighbor. It could be next door, next county, or next state. So thank you all for everything you did, and I appreciate that.
Go ahead, sir. State your name. We'll have questions for you, probably for the groups after this last one.
Good afternoon. My name is Albert Flotis. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee today. I've been a television meteorologist for 4 years in this area, so I've seen the floods. I've seen the loss of life. I've reported it for many, many times. I know lots of the people that are sitting over there. This time, it was just insane. It was hard to do as a meteorologist. It's hard for everybody. I have a forensic company that does research on this kind of stuff. I'm here to volunteer our company to come in and do the work that needs to be done. You can't move forward until you have answers to what happened. We have some of the best in this operation of mine, meteorologists, geologists, everybody, hydrologists. We probably have about 150 years of experience doing hydraulic research. I'd like to have this committee consider that. I think that this whole situation really can't be looked at completely until you have experts like ours to come in and give you the minute by minute what happened, why it happened, what was the event, what can you do about it, how can you fix it. So that's what I'm here to tell you. I know how to get answers. We've done it for many people. I did it for SeaWorld and saved them millions because they had a tornado in their stadium and they didn't know it. So they were being sued for millions. Our forensic team came in and looked at it, and sure enough, we found a tornado inside Shamu Stadium, but it was tiny. It couldn't have been really picked up. I mean, it's not like you saw this giant funnel. Regardless of that, we have the experience, and we're offering to come in and do exactly what I think this needs. At the same time, we have an artificial intelligence company. There's been a lot of problems with phone calls and people getting messages and what do you have and how can you help me? We have artificial intelligent operators that can handle 1,000 calls an hour. They will help people. They'll take their emails. They'll send them text messages. They'll do follow-ups. That's, excuse me, my throat's dry. That's free. My company is giving that away because I have lots of friends in Kerrville. I lived in Bernie, and we just want to help. So our certified company will come in and give you the best report on this storm, and my artificial intelligence company will answer calls 1,000 an hour until this gets done for free.
Thank you for that. Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Ms. Gallagher and is it Ashley? Ashley and Melanie, thank you so much. Now, I'd gotten a report, and the Travis County judge will be here, or is here, will be on a panel later today. Hopefully you can stay and hear that, and we can talk. Because I was under the understanding that ESDs, more than one, and more than one responded. TDM was there, and that they responded right after 1 o'clock, I believe, on the 5th, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's not true. Go ahead, Ms. Gallagher.
No, ma'am, that's not true.
When is the first time you saw somebody from emergency services or an ESD?
Hold on. So let me explain something. The first time I saw anybody...
Speak just a little louder.
The first time I saw anybody was when Melanie and her boyfriend rolled up on me on Windy Valley the night of July 5th when I was holding security to secure the items that I had secured. Ms. Campbell, please understand, I have a medical issue.
Sure. It makes it even
I
harder.
spent my $3,000 for my community to begin this process. The original products that were brought into this community, my call for help was a TikTok video that got my life threatened for asking for help. I spent my $3,000 on food, water, and ice for my community. No one came until she showed up in the middle of the night.
Was Tatum there on, I mean, when I had talked with the judge, Tatum has been very responsive. Were they there the next day or that evening?
No, ma'am.
Of the 5th or the afternoon of the 5th morning?
No, ma'am.
Melanie, speak closer into the mic.
No, ma'am. From my understanding, and after that night that I met her, that was on Wednesday after the flood. And then Thursday, I spent that day organizing volunteers and large equipment. And as I was leaving to go check on another area, there were 3 Texas State Guardsmen walking the opposite direction down Windy Valley. And I pulled over and I forced one into my vehicle, and I told him that he had an iStat thing on his iPad. I said, you need to come with me. Nobody has been down here. I said, this is where the destruction is. This is where you need to be. You have to come with me. And he said, ma'am, that's not my mission today. And I said, I'm begging you, please come with me. And he did. And I took him down to the end of Windy Valley, he was on the phone and he spoke with Chief Klingenman, I believe his name is, and that from the next morning, Friday morning, there was Texas State Guard and buses of National Guard, and those were the first people that many of the residents on that side of Sandy Creek
where
saw.
the bridge had washed out.
Yes.
So
They were the first
opposite side
residents.
of that bridge, Ms. Campbell. We're
On the north
Locked
side.
in.
We're on the north side. The bridge goes this way, right? This is one community that has an one in, one out bridge. We're on the other side over here.
Okay. The temporary bridge right now connects the two?
The temporary bridge is the big sandy side.
Okay.
Windy Valley and the side I'm on is the other side.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, sir. Just
Yes, ma'am. Timothy Mabry. So when I arrived there on Monday the 7th at 3 p.m., there was a Travis County Emergency Manager, Cortland Ballou, at the Round Mountain Baptist Church. So Travis County, there was someone there, but he was the only one from the Travis County in that official capacity. The fire department had been ordered to stay in their station that day. I talked with the fire department the next morning, one of the lieutenants on duty, and at that next morning, the Tuesday the 8th, they did not have a full count of who was missing and the level of devastation. And that it was that morning of the 8th is when I was told that the emergency management was going to be coming in the afternoon, and that they were preparing for them to start coming in at that time.
Well, I think there's a lot we do need to look into. We'll listen to the judge pretty soon, and thank you all, and I'll be talking with you.
And one last thing, Senator Campbell, real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
Timothy Mabry again.
Senator Menendez.
Oh, he was one. He
Oh,
was
I'm
just
sorry.
finishing
I'm
his
sorry.
a comment.
That bridge that was built that morning of that Tuesday the 8th, an individual who has a construction company in that area came up to myself and a few other people, and I relayed this to the fire chief, that he could have built a temporary bridge better than one that's currently up right now that same day of the 8th. And it took 8 days later to get another bridge working in order.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Menendez.
Could I say something before I leave? I'm going to have these folders given to all of you about our forensic company. Please consider it. We really can't move forward with this until you understand the gravity of what happened to the nth degree that we can give it to you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for this offer. Menendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, to the residents of Sandy Creek, I'm very sorry for what you've gone through. The fact is that cadaver dogs need to be brought out. Residents shouldn't be finding body parts on their
They
property.
brought the New York cadaver dogs
Yeah,
out,
I heard that, and
and they were turned away.
Well, we're going to find out later today from County Judge of Travis County what the heck's going on, and see what we can get you some relief. To you, sir, thank you for what you've done. Chief Holt, my understanding is that in Center Point and Comfort, there's a siren system. Is that correct?
There's one in Comfort, but there's not one in Center Point.
Not
no,
one
sir.
in Center Point, but there is one in Comfort.
Correct.
How do you, if let's say you wanted, if you were to evaluate what you heard earlier this morning, because I mean, to me, there was a concern that we have low water crossings that can trap people in place. We need a methodology by which that's not dependent on cell phone service, but that will give people the notice, move to higher ground. They should have never allowed or let or permitted for these children to stay in their bunks when the water was rising. They should have been moving to higher ground. And it's evident that not all the camps had as devastating a loss of life.
Correct.
And so your thoughts on that?
Anything moving forward to help, mitigate these problems that we have is going to be a step in the right direction. If it's a siren or if it's a better way to notify people, I mean, anything is best.
All right. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Flores, I appreciate your offer. I think it's a very generous offer, very kind offer. I think one of the things that's most important for us moving forward is we need more precise ability to determine where this rainfall is going to fall, because my understanding is that 5 miles in either direction the rainfall changes, we don't have this tragic loss, and we need to get more precision. I'm not sure if your service can help with that.
I can, sir. Having done weather for 40 years, I have a pretty good idea of what kind of rain can occur, how fast it changes when it moves. And so it's a complicated situation. You really need experts to look at it. So we've got, as I said, meteorologists, hydrologists, geologists. They're going to give you the best look at what it was, sir. And so for you to plan what you're going to do in the future, you got to first understand the hydrology and the meteorology that hit you. And just a personal thing to say, our government has cut back the National Weather Service, if you remember. They were shorthanded in San Antonio
I really
during this
appreciate your
storm.
offer. Sir, and we've got to move on. So I thank you for your offer, and we'll
Thank you, Mr.
welcome the pamphlet.
I'm going to have some
If you'll get
stuff
them
handed
delivered,
out to you.
that's
Thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you. All right. Any other, Senator Betancourt?
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be asking very pointed questions to the county judge when he comes.
Please.
No, no, you can stay, or we'll tell you what the answers were.
Oh, I'm going to stay.
So thank you for your testimony. Chief Holt, I want to go back over there was a siren in Comfort that went off. Is that one of your volunteers? Because I heard it was volunteer fire department siren that was triggered by the mayor, I assume, or the other.
So the Comfort Volunteer Fire Department does service an area in Kirk County, but their station is in Kendall County.
Right.
So, and they have their siren that's there that they control and they set off for these events that are
No,
coming
I
up.
figured you had a piece of it, so I was just trying to make sure we heard the fact of it.
Right.
And there's obviously, the sirens are still the same sirens that we all grew up with.
Yes, sir.
That people, recognize that there's danger and that they need to take action. So combining sirens with, old tech sirens with, modern cell phone alerts would be a positive step forward.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
And your service, too.
Thank you.
Could I mention, sir, Starlink, if you haven't heard of that?
Sir,
That's how you get
you got your
everybody's
3 minutes.
connected.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you for offering, and we appreciate it. Please get the information to the committee. All right, you guys are dismissed. We will have the Travis judge up on another panel. As I promised, we'll do 16 publics, and then we'll go back to inviteds. Lori Lowe, Bubba Walters, Sherry Reynolds, Jacob Willenitz, Terry Hall, Ann Carr, Nancy Sedunkwitz, ZDUNKEWICZ, Roland Smith. Lori Lowe, Bubba Walters, Sherry Reynolds, Jacob Willenitz, Terry Hall, Ann Carr, Nancy Zdonkwitz, Rolinda Smith. Let's start on this side and go over. Yeah, I can. We've debated. We don't know on these cards what your story is, but we would more than welcome those parents, if they had Mystic kids, to fill in these slots, and we'll try to get you moving through the system if you feel comfortable to. But we just don't know up here the ones that are, and if there are parents of Mystic kids or kids that were lost to camps, for that matter, we would more than welcome to try to put you up here so you can move forward if you need to. So,
Chairman,
yes.
I might add, if you are a parent of a Mystic child, I know you likely traveled, if you would come forward and just talk to committee staff where we know which card belongs to you, we can expedite this process.
Good choice. All right, let's start on this side and move forward.
All right. My name is Lori Lowe. My husband and I live on the once beautiful South Fork of the Guadalupe River and have for 29 years. We are approximately 5 miles below Camp Mystic. We live on Highway 39, which is a 2-lane road. All roads to Hunt are 2-lane roads and are all subject to flooding. The initial plan in a normal flood is to stay put because of that. This was no normal flood. At 1:30 in the morning, I was awakened due to the terrible storm. It was pouring down rain, and by 2:30 I knew it had to be flooding due to the amount of rainfall and the slight roar of the river. At that time, normally one would take action to move your kayak up, things like that. You don't know what's coming. By 3:30, the red cell over the South Fork had never moved. We are familiar with floods. With an outside light, I could see the flood rising and moving aggressively towards our home. At 4:05, we hurriedly self-evacuated in my husband's large pickup as the floodwaters were fully surrounding our home. As we drove up our driveway, the flood was chasing us. It was rising so fast. But we knew that Highway 39 in front of our house was at a higher elevation. It was only about 100 yards to reach the highway, out of the reach of the roaring flood, higher ground. Had we needed to go higher, we easily could have by way of a paved county-maintained road across from us. Had we turned left on 39, we knew we would run into low water crossings, now flooded. We also knew that if we turned right on Highway 39, we would be driving towards 2 flooded state bridges. In a normal flood, you stay put because of that. This is no normal flood. Moments later, we're out on Highway 39 in the dark, and a Hunt Volunteer Fire Department firefighter arrived also. So it was the three of us out in the middle of the highway. It was totally dark. I think the power was out everywhere by now. VFDs are, in fact, the very first responders locally, and they are to be applauded. By then, no one else could have reached us unless by helicopter. He rescued a family on a roof next door, including a toddler. We picked up a couple, my husband and I picked up a couple who were wet and barefoot in the middle of the highway and texted a friend to open the Hunt Methodist Church. We drove them there. Soon it had 50 to 60 people taking refuge in the dark with no water as the power was out. We are fortunate to have a shelter along our part of Highway 39. At what point did I realize the flood was way worse than ever? Really, it was when I saw it coming at our house. So 3:30. This was a historic, never seen before flood. Its massive force flooded our home. Our house remained intact while it was flooded with 12 feet of water, ferocious, violent water, slamming everything around, moving things out of the house that were way too big to have been pushed out normally. So move to higher ground equals 100% success ratio. No, I don't have those statistics or proof, but I believe that moving to higher ground gives us the highest chance of success. Our visitors were the largest number of those who perished. It is heartbreaking, but also telling that 90% of those who perished were visitors.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Lowe. I do have a question. Did you say you're a 25-year resident? Is that correct?
I don't know who's
over here.
Oh, 29 years.
You've been here 20, or
Yes.
lived in this area 29
Been in
years.
this same spot in 29 years.
Just for perspective, for those of us who haven't lived here, do you recall what the highest floodwater mark was prior to this storm that you had witnessed?
I can't say. This flood went a half mile across.
Mm-hmm.
Our little bend in the river is 15 feet wide, and by the end of this flood, it has reached all the way from Highway 39 up into Camp La Junta.
But you've obviously seen that river
many
flood
times.
many times.
Yeah.
But from a perspective, 10% of what this one was.
Well, 25%.
Okay.
Compared to this.
I only ask because we hear about it being a 1,000-year flood, and I've toured the area, seen the devastation. And it's unimaginable what that wall of water would have looked like to those that came in after. But everywhere I've been, I see the watermarks on certain landmarks of this is where it was last time, this is where it was last time, and it seems like the watermarks. Obviously going to be quite a bit higher than it ever has been. So I was just curious about your personal situation. But
usually when it floods in Hunt, you get a day off work because the bridges are flooded.
Understand.
And you're not limited in any other way. You just have to stay put.
Is there a question on the House side for Ms. Lowe? Seeing none, thank you.